Hello, I'm Dwight.
And I'm DeWanda.
And
We're
we
the
are the Washingtons.
Washingtons.
And we want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Help Podcast. And of course, if you've been with us any length of time, you know that HELP is an acronym for honesty, empathy, love, and patience. And every marriage needs help. I don't care if you've only been married for one day or if you've been married for 50 years. That acronym, honesty, empathy, love, and patience,
Yeah.
is something that every marriage needs. And so I hope that we have been helpful to you in your journey. We're all learning, we're all evolving. Marriage is never a destination, it's more of a journey. And so hopefully we have been giving you some tools that you can use in your journey to help take some stress out of your marriage situation. And so today we wanted to stop by and first of all, before we get started, tell you that it would be so awesome if you enjoy the podcast, if you would like and share. That really helps us to get more of an audience. We want to expand our reach, expand our borders, expand our footprint, and help as many marriages as possible. So if what we've said has been a help to you, please like and share. We would really appreciate that. So today we want to talk about intimacy, but how do we navigate that when you have small children, and our children are grown now, but I remember that those times when the children were small, and when you first get married, when we first got married, it was just us, and so you could do whatever you wanted to do whenever you wanted to do it, and we enjoyed that period of time. But when the children started coming, it changed a little bit, and so it's a different space to be in, a different place in your relationship where when children are involved, and you got to make room for them and make sure that they're good. And you were always excellent at that.
Thank you.
But it changes the dynamic of the relationship. It changes it for the good. Children are a good thing, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to understand that the relationship changes a bit when children come on the scene, because now it's no longer about you only, you and your spouse, but now you have to consider the children. And so there's a fine line that you have to walk between our needs and then the needs of the children. So you were really good at that. So is there any, before we really get into it and take a deep dive, is there anything that you would like to maybe say as it relates to, how did you navigate having children but still finding time to make time for me, which
Did I do a good job with you?
you did an awesome job.
Thank you.
So how did you do it? I mean, was there a secret? Did you go in knowing that, I'm going to have to spend 50% of my time with my children and 50% with my husband? Or did you go in on the fly and just kind of instinctively know what to do? Or how did you navigate that?
I guess it wasn't something somebody said or taught me. It's just like it had to be done. If the kids need to eat, I got to feed the kids, feed the husband, clothe the kids, make sure your clothes were clean and ready for you to go to work every day, fix your lunch and fix the kids' lunch and get them on the bus. Just things, whatever had to be done, just had to be done. Get myself together, go to work, come back home, repeat.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Well, I think in one of our previous broadcasts or podcast, I'm dating myself when I say broadcast, because nobody says broadcast anymore unless if you say broadcast, you're over 50 for sure.
Okay.
So I got to keep putting in my mind podcast.
Yes.
You had a great example with your mom, and you kind of instinctively watched her navigate life with your dad and you and your sisters,
Right.
which is 4 girls. So you watched her navigate. So you kind of had an idea when you came into the relationship what that would look like. But I think one of the mistakes that a lot of married couples make, and there's a plethora of things that we do wrong, that if we had an opportunity to do it over, we would do it a different way. But I think we don't, in many cases, married couples, when children come along, they take all the focus, they're allowed to take all the focus off of the relationship,
Right.
and now it becomes all about the
them.
children.
Yeah.
And I think life has to be about some kind of balance. You have to figure out how are we going to navigate this with children. And obviously, it would be better if you had a conversation about it before time.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, many of us, we didn't have these critical conversations. And so when we get into it, then we're trying to navigate it on the fly.
Well, I think it's better now, bringing up children now, because now there's so many activities that you can put the children in that you don't have to try to figure out like we did. What can the kids do today? Basically, what can the kids do to tire them out? But but what can we do to make sure the kids have fun, and then we have time together also.
Well, it's different that there are a lot of activities, but for many families, those activities are not affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you and I last year we took our little nephew to the
Zoo.
well, we took him to the zoo like a couple years ago, but last year or year before we went to the Children's Museum.
Yes.
And I think for the 3 of us to get in there, it was like
so much.
it was like $70 or something crazy.
I'm like, what?
So it's almost, there's a lot of activities, but a lot of them are cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
So just trying to find things that you can do, because you got to keep them busy.
That's right.
But I think to back to my original point, I think many times we spend so much time investing in our children that we forget that, hey, we got a whole marriage over here
Ain't that it?
that needs attention. And sometimes we use caring for the kids to take the attention off of the issues that we need to address in that marriage. And it's just so unfortunate, because we don't really understand that probably the greatest gifts, or one of the greatest gifts you can give your child, is a stable environment to grow up in.
Yeah.
To give them a happy, healthy home to thrive in. I think we think that it's about buying them toys and taking them on trips and
High price clothes.
and high price clothes, but a lot of times we do those things so that we don't have to address the elephant in the room, which is we're not getting along. So let's put all of our focus and all of our energy on the kids, and we neglect the marriage.
Yeah.
But as I said, I think that the most important gift that you can give your child is a stable, happy home where the parents get along.
Yeah, I agree.
It just, I think it just is, and we don't spend time working on that. We don't spend enough time.
Right.
Here's the reality. The children are going to grow up and one day they're going to
They
leave.
don't leave.
At least that's the plan.
Right.
Like, you don't want any, a 50-year-old in the basement. Uh, but the plan is that we bring good people into the world, that we we watch them, we nurture them, and then at some point they grow up and it's time for them to leave the nest. Unfortunately, many people have not invested any time in the marriage, and so as a result, the only thing they have in common is the kids.
It's the kids.
So when the children leave,
It's over.
it's over because they never made any time to develop that relationship.
Or when the kids leave, then I think I'll buy a dog now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
That's
something, so we don't have to.
anything that we can do that we don't have to address the issues that we're going through as a married couple.
Right.
So everything, I don't know if you all have been watching us, but everything that we have talked about, it ultimately all goes back to communication. The communication piece that we started off with, it affects every area of our life.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised just explaining what's going on. What are you feeling? Why are you feeling this? And having those honest conversations. We had an issue last week. Well, not us, us in particular, but we were at a restaurant, and I really don't like to make waves because people are dealing with my food.
Yeah.
But you didn't get what you wanted,
Right.
so you had to communicate that.
Very strongly. Okay.
You had to communicate
This is
that.
not right.
You had to communicate that with the waitress. So communication is a part of everything that we do,
Yeah.
whether it be, with our children, or whether it be intimacy issues, whatever. It always comes back to communication.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing what to take a second and explain what's going on, what good that would do. I mean, if you're looking at this broadcast, and there I go again, this podcast, and for example, you go out to dinner, and the waitress takes your order, and 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, you haven't seen them. You don't know what's going on. All you know is you put your order in,
And I don't have my food.
and I don't have my food.
Right.
How different would it be if they would come back out and explain to you what's going on? Hey, for example, we had two of our cooks call off today, and we're really struggling in the kitchen.
Right.
We appreciate your patience.
Yeah. That would be much better.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they just
let you sit
they
there.
just let you
Like,
they
wait,
just let you
hold up.
sit there, and you just now your mind is like has all these things going through your mind
Yeah.
about the guy's back here on his phone. That's why he's not cooking my
Where's
food.
my food?
So if they would just communicate and tell you what's going on, communication makes everything better.
It does. A little better. Because I still want my food. I don't
Well,
care
you
if you
still
come
want your-
back
you
and
still-
tell me I've been waited 20, 30 minutes and you still haven't got me my food yet.
You still want your food. You still want what you
Yeah.
want. But the fact that you now understand, hey, it's
There's a
not that
problem.
they're just not bringing me my food. There's a
Yeah.
problem that they're trying to overcome.
Right.
So that's why I haven't gotten my food.
Yeah.
Or in a relationship, telling people your likes and your dislikes. I don't like it when you do this, or I like it when you do that. It makes it everything.
Yeah.
Everything always comes back to
Communication.
communication. And so if you've been following us, that's what I've been trying to stress. Everything everything circles back to communication, and if we're not communicating with our spouse, with our children, if we're not communicating with the people that that we engage in business, there's always going to be these awkward awkward situations when all it would take would be, let's just tell me what's going on.
Right.
Tell me what's going on with you. Other than your mother, what do you think for you was the most influential as it relates to teaching you how to deal with me?
Deal with you?
Yeah.
Other than my mother?
Other than your mother. Was it just trial and error? Did you just?
Well,
because sometimes I ask you that because
why?
I think early on I wasn't very good at communicating.
Yeah, you was quiet.
I was a little on the shy side.
You were. It's okay.
So how do you navigate that when somebody's not telling you? Do you just kind of guess?
You got to go through a series of questions. Look, what we doing here? Do you want a hamburger or you don't want a hamburger? Do you want fries with it or do you want mashed potatoes? Which one we doing with potatoes?
Right.
So you just got to throw the questions out.
So you ask the right questions, and then because I'm thinking that a lot of our attitudes, especially as it relates to marriage, is not realistic.
What you mean?
I think a lot of the information that we get, we don't get it from the proper sources. So, as we were growing up, and there was a show on called Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
And then there was another show on Father Knows Best. In those shows, every problem was solved in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so many times we go, Ward would come home, he's got on his suit, and
June.
June. She looked like she just stepped out of
a magazine. Pearls on.
With her pearls and high heel shoes on. And if you grew up during that time, that was your I don't know, that was your expectation that, I'm going to come home with my suit on, and then, when I open the door, there is the June with her high heel shoes on, her pearls,
hello,
with
honey,
apron on, and saying hello
with an apron,
and everybody, everything was just solved in 30 minutes. And so if you went into marriage with that expectation, that's unrealistic.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not a realistic expectation, because there were times when your wife or whoever stays home spent the whole day just solving problems and putting out fires. So when you get home, dinner wasn't done, or the hair was all over the head, or she might have still had rollers on. And so understanding what happened during that day, would help that situation. But we get our information from books and movies and sitcoms, and we use that as how we interact with each other.
Right.
So a lot of our expectations are not realistic. They're just not. Right. They are manufactured. They are and if we try to guide our marriage with something that we saw on TV or how we see things on TV, we're going to always be struggling.
Right.
And so what our goal has been is for us to take some of the struggle out by being so honest and transparent with our lives. We just celebrated 40 years last week, and congratulations to you, by the way.
You too. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Happy anniversary to you.
Thank you.
But it has been it has been a lot of trial and error for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like things that we thought would work didn't work, and so we had to change.
Mm-hmm.
We had to regroup.
Yeah.
And I think it's harder for men to figure women out than it is for women to figure men out.
Say it again.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to say it again?
Yep.
I think that it's harder for men to figure women out than it is for women to figure men out.
We might be a little smarter.
I don't know if you're smarter, but I do know you're a little bit more complicated. You're a little bit more complicated.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You might want me to elaborate, because I can.
Well, hey.
Women are a little bit more. You're more complicated, and so I think it's
complicated into. I mean, hold up. Complicated into what you saying? Good.
It's not. It's not necessarily good or bad.
Okay.
It's just you guys are. It takes a longer time for us as men to figure out you guys.
Okay.
Because, for a lot of ladies, we bring flowers.
Okay.
We bring flowers, and where do we get the idea to bring flowers? Off of TV normally.
Okay.
So I thought early on that I would bring you flowers, and you acknowledged them. You said thank you, but then later on, you told me like flowers are really not your thing.
Honey, you don't have to buy me. I mean, I like flowers. I love flowers.
You love to make
love
floral
creating
arrangement, right?
I love creating.
But for somebody to bring
I
you,
do like flowers every now and then. So listen to what I'm saying. But I do like flowers every now and then. I think they're beautiful. I love them in the house and everything. But if all you was going to do is bring me flowers, then you can do something else. That's like if all you was going to bring, I like candy. But I can't eat a lot of candy now. But if you was going to bring me a box of chocolate and candy all the time, I'm like, let's figure out something else you can do. So you can give me some money and I can go shopping.
Well, for you, that's your love language, shopping. it's like, just send her to the store with a couple bucks and a couple of gift cards, and
I'm happy.
And you are a happy camper.
I'm a happy camper.
So but I figured that out.
Yeah.
So I rarely buy you flowers because I know that flowers really are not your first choice.
Right.
But there are some ladies that love flowers.
Love flowers. Mm-hmm.
So it's what does it go back to?
Communication.
It goes back to communication.
Yeah.
What is it that you want? What is it that you want me to do?
Right.
And once you tell me what you like to do, then now I have some kind of frame of reference, so I can maybe dress it up a little bit over here, dress it up a little bit over there, but it goes back to giving you what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I try to do.
You do a good job.
That's what I try to do.
You do.
Do I do a good job?
Oh, yeah. You the man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought so, but
Okay.
it's good to hear it
Hey.
from the person that you're trying to impress.
I always tell you that, though.
You do.
I do.
You do. And when you do, for men, we're simple. So you figure that out. So we're simple. So if you tell me that, hey, I really like it when you do such and such and such and such, then as a man, guess what?
You're going to do it.
I'm going to try my best to do that because
good job.
You have told me that's what you like, or you like when I do that. And so
I like when you wash my car.
Yeah.
I like that.
Do you?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Well, because if I didn't wash it, it would never.
Probably not. I'm good with it.
So
It's going to rain one day.
yeah. So, for me,
Mhm.
you know me, I
You-
like to keep a
You
clean
like a
car. But
king.
what do
Yeah.
I always check the weather.
You do.
And if it's gonna rain,
You don't wash it.
I don't watch it because it's too much. I put too much work
You
into it
do. You do.
to get it rained on. But you could care less. You could be freshly washed, and you could know for a surety, as the old folk used to say, that it's gonna rain in an hour. But you're gonna go out anyway because that's just
You can't let rain keep you in the house.
well. If you just wash your car, you can. That's my feeling.
Well,
But I try to do that because I know that you like doing it.
thank you.
I know that you like when I put gas in your car.
I do.
So
I love that.
I do that because
appreciate
I
it.
know that's what you like to do.
I appreciate it. Is it because I told you that, or you just did it one day?
Well,
and I
think
got spoiled.
I think I might have did it, and I might have spoiled you. And so now, once
I
you're
am
spoiled,
spoiled.
now my job is to
Ain't
keep
no
you
coming
spoiled.
back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honey. Thanks.
It's keep you spoiled.
Thank you.
So that's what I don't know. Those of you who have been following us any length of time, whether it be the last, we just started the podcast, but even in ministry over the years, if you followed us, then you know that, or at least I think I've shared that marriage is ever evolving. You're always at different stages and places in life. So the advice or what we say, many times you have to take it and then contour it for your context, so that you can't use it exactly how we're using it because you may be at a different point in your life.
Yeah.
So the things that we say, if you've got small children, then you kind of have to contour that thing so that it will work for you.
Okay.
You have to, everything that we say, you have to consider our context, because everything that we say comes from our context. So I said it like finding your flow. You got to figure out what works in your context. So again, if you got small children, then you got to change it up a little bit what we say. If you got teenagers, then you've really got to change up what we say, because teenagers are a whole thing. So everything that we say has to be contoured for a particular context. So I was looking at some things, and the experts say that every marriage has 4 critical needs. Every marriage has 4 critical needs. Number one, every marriage has, and you can tell me if you agree with this, every marriage has physical needs.
I agree.
You got to get your physical on. Every marriage has emotional needs.
Yes. I agree.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Every marriage has spiritual needs.
Okay.
I think, and we had this conversation the other day, because we were talking about people who, start doing other things, whether it be drugs or whether it be affairs or whatever they do. I think that deep within the heart of man is a desire to have a relationship with God. And because we either refuse that or we don't understand that, then we find other things to try to take the place of that place that's deep within us, that is empty, that is longing. So we had that conversation, and that's what I said, that a lot of people use other things because they really at their base, at their spirit is longing. They're longing for a relationship with God.
Wow.
And so they invariably use other things. So spiritual needs is number 3, and then number 4, social and intellectual needs.
Mm.
We all need to have other people in our lives as well.
Oh yeah.
Because we are by nature we're social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think over the years we've tried to hit on all four of those, and we have different needs
Yeah.
as it relates to, like, for you, I know that anything that makes you that makes you have to think it through,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of shy away from those things.
Yeah.
If you're watching a TV show,
If it's too detailed, I'm done.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I
You
absolutely
love it.
love
I'm like, it's
when
too much
people
thinking.
when people, like a debate or something, and people are going back and forth. I absolutely love that.
Arguing.
You call it arguing.
It's
It's debating.
It's arguing.
But
Screaming at each other. I don't like that.
well, they're trying to get a point across.
Okay. I don't like it.
I know you've told me that.
Okay.
So when we're watching TV together, we have to decide what we're going to watch. I know that if I let you decide, it's going to be something like I Love Lucy, or some kind of cartoon show, or some kind of
Something that make you feel good.
feel good.
Yeah.
And so, if you let me pick,
It's going to be too mind-boggling. It's just too much. Too much screaming and back and forth and arguing. And it's like, this is supposed to be a relaxing time. It's just,
so we kind of toss it back and forth,
right.
and then we decide on what we're going to watch.
Or we say, look, you go ahead and watch that. I'm going to go in this bedroom and I'll watch this.
And then we'll meet back up
Yeah.
after whatever we want to watch is going off.
Yeah.
And that's taken, ladies and gentlemen, that's taken almost 40 years for us to know that about each other. Sometimes we go into a relationship and we think that off the bat we're going to figure it all out. And I'm here to tell you, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I'm here to tell you that it literally takes years to figure things out.
Yeah.
Now, for you, I can almost look at you and tell what you're thinking. But that wasn't how it was in the beginning.
No, it wasn't.
I know now what not to say. You remember, I don't know if you may remember, we had just got married, and because both of us moved right out of our parents' home into our home that we had to get, our apartment.
Okay.
And I don't know, like I remember very clear, I don't know if it was the first or the second meal that you fixed. And I said to you that.
What'd you say?
I said that my mother didn't fix it like that.
Ooh.
And 1 week later, you were still in your feelings. But I didn't know.
Yeah.
To me, I was just making a comment, that, hey, this is good, but my mother doesn't fix it like that.
Well, your mother ain't show me how to fix it.
Well, I think you said something like,
I'm not your mother.
Yeah, but you said it a little bit more rough than that.
Okay, I'm sure it probably was.
But it taught me. But it taught me there's certain things that you can't say.
Right.
Because if you'd say that,
or say it better, you think say it? No, that wouldn't.
I don't think there was no good way to say that.
That wasn't even.
I don't think there was a good way to
Okay.
say my mother fixed it
better than you.
I didn't say better than you.
Well, I mean,
said,
that's all I heard.
That's what
I heard.
That's what you read into it. And women, and I know if you watching this, women, I'm gonna let the brothers in on a secret. Women have a tendency to read more into a statement than what was actually said.
Well, it's like once we read into
Do you-
it,
do
we
you-
gonna
do-
give. Wait a minute, we gonna we gonna give you like 2 seconds to clarify it and get it back together. Like, what you mean by this?
Well, usually it is something that you have read more into. It's because when I think about 40 years, we've been together a long time, and over 40 years, you're going to have disagreements, obviously,
Yeah.
and I some things that I've said. When you repeat it, you didn't like it, but when you repeat it back to me,
It ain't what you said.
it's not only not what I said, but you've added like 12 things. I was like,
That's what I heard.
I did not say that.
I heard you say all this.
I did. So you have to learn how your spouse hears,
Okay.
because sometimes what they hear is not what you said. So you have to figure out how your spouse hears something, and then once you figure out how they hear it, then you can kind of contour it again for the context. So you say it differently. So since I know you hear things differently, I am very careful how I say things, because I know that if I say it this way, you're going to hear it a way that I didn't mean it.
And then I will explain it to you how I heard it. And then communication, I'm going to give you like 2 seconds, like I said, to clarify what you just said.
Well, I understand that, but I'm going to get back to my original point, and is that now that I know that you hear differently than sometimes I speak,
Yeah.
then I know now I've got to say things a different way. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about learning the other person,
Yeah.
and the two becoming one.
Okay.
Because the fact that you said I do does not make you one. You have to learn how to become one.
That's nice.
And so that's what we have been trying to do. We have been trying to, and we still I mean, we are so much better at it than how we used to be.
Yeah.
Because we're at a different space in time and in our lives, and so now I think we're at a good place. We're at a good place in all the areas that I mentioned: physical, emotional, the spiritual, and the social. I think we're at a good place.
Yeah.
But it did not. So people see us, and then they try to pattern their marriage after us, and so since their situation or their marriage is not looking like ours, they're thinking that they're having problems in their marriage. It's not that at all.
Right.
It's you're in a process. You're in a process of becoming one. You're in a process of learning the other person. You're not having marriage problems. He just said something or she just said something and it kind of rubbed you the wrong way, but that happens to all of us.
Yeah, talk it out.
You got to
Talk your way through it.
You talk your way through it. So when people say, we're having marriage problems, like what exactly is the problem?
What is going on? Yeah.
And sometimes when they tell us what's going on, you kind of chuckle that is not a marriage problem. That's just a matter of you and her and you learning each other. That is a normal part of the process. So everything is not a problem. It's everything. We all go through those phases.
Right.
We all say things that we wish we didn't say, and we try to reel it back in, but it's too late. We've all done that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's just a matter of having those communication sessions and figuring out what is going to work to move us to the next level,
Yeah.
because marriage is in levels.
Mm.
You know, when you first get married, you're all over each other
Mm-hmm.
because it's new, it's fresh, and then it's like a toy. It's like a new toy.
Mm-hmm.
You play with it, and then you get tired of playing with it. But marriage, you just can't take it back to the store or quit
Right.
playing with it.
Right.
You got to figure out how to. Okay, now how we're in this next season. Now, how do we navigate that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now children are here.
Mm-hmm.
How do we navigate that?
Yeah.
So it's all about navigating the process and
Mm-hmm.
learning what makes the other person tick. And I will say, after 45 years with you, I have a pretty good idea of
What make me tick?
what makes you tick.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pretty good idea of how you're going to respond in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pretty good idea of what hurts your feelings. So I try to avoid those things at all costs, and hopefully
Likewise.
you try to do as well.
I do.
Is anything you want to say that you've learned over the years about me that it took you a minute to figure out?
Mm-hmm.
I know you talked about me being a little
Quiet.
shy, a little
Yeah.
bashful.
Mm-hmm.
How did you? Because you helped bring me out of that. What did you do? Were you working on me and I didn't even know it?
Probably so. Probably so. Like Mama said, do he talk? I said, yeah, he talks.
Well, I think one of the things that you did is you were very liberal with your compliments, which helped bring me out of a shell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and people see the 2024 version of me, and they don't know the 1984 version. I was a mess.
I knew how I wanted you.
So you mold me like the potter.
Okay. Get on this stand now.
Well, you did a good job.
Thank you.
And you got good taste as well.
I do. Hey, what I like, I go after.
You need to say that one more time,
Okay.
boo, because you. So how'd you say? What'd you say now?
What I like, I go after.
So that's a word for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word for somebody. You are waiting on somebody to find you over here in this deep, dark corner.
Mm-hmm.
But
Go and get after it.
you
Go
said
and get after it.
go and get after it.
Go and get after it.
So if that same philosophy, if you wanting your marriage to be better, you got to get after
You
it.
have to get after it.
I'm
Find ways to make it better. What can make it better? What can be done? It's a whole lot of stuff you can do to make it better.
Well, can you share with?
I mean, communication would be one, and a whole bunch of stuff. Intimacy.
All right now. All right.
Okay.
You got to put it on them sometime.
Oh, hey.
Got to put it. Got to put it on them sometime. You just,
Yeah.
hey.
And you got, compliment, do
Yeah.
the right things, feed your person, make sure they're eating something.
And that's just not food. Feed their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Just the holistic man, the
Yeah.
holistic woman. It's our desire
Mm-hmm.
to give you information that you can use to make your marriage better.
Yeah.
And we've been at it for 45 years, been married for 40. And I'm going to say something, and we're going to close on this. Don't try to be us.
Mm-mm.
Don't try to
No.
be us. Be your own couple.
Mm-hmm.
Be your own situation. Figure out what works with you and your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Have those honest, open conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to look at us and say, that can be something you can aspire to. But don't say, you can say, hey, I would love to have that kind of marriage. But don't look at yours and say, our marriage is not like that, so we're going to call it
Right.
quits.
No.
because you can always find a reason to call it quits.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of deciding that we're going to make this work, come hell or high water, good times, bad times. We have decided that we're going to make it work. And that's really all we did. There's really no.
Yeah.
I mean, people ask me, and I'm sure they ask you, what's the secret?
No secret.
And I'm like, man, if I knew the secret, I'd write a book. I'd
rich.
do a movie.
Okay.
I'd do all kind of things with this secret formula.
Yeah.
But there is no secret formula.
Just make it work.
It's all about two people coming together and deciding that we are going to make this work. So it wasn't a magic formula. All it was simply a decision. So
that's good.
So I hope that something was said today to that you can utilize to make your situation better. My wife and I, it's not like we do these because we don't have something to do or anything to do. Our lives are full. We've got like a full day today. But we take these times out just to pour into those of you who would take the time to watch. And I am convinced that if you implement some of the things that we have told you, and as we say, think on these things, I think your marriage, your situation will be much better.
Yeah.
So that's all we got for you today, unless you had something.
No, I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
You look nice today. You look really.
Honey.
You as we used to say back in the 80s, you look sexy in the mug. But hey,
Thank you.
We want you to always remember that wherever you are in your marriage, it can always be better.
Yeah.
And help you to remember that every marriage needs help. Every marriage needs honesty. Every marriage needs empathy. You got to feel what I'm feeling. Every marriage needs love, and
Patience.
every marriage needs patience. You got to be patient with me as God is working on me, and as my spouse is working on me. You got to be patient with me, because ultimately the goal is to have a successful marriage.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
So until next time, I'm Dwight.
And I'm DeWanda.
And we are the Washingtons. Thank you for tuning in today. And please, as I said, like and share. We'll see you next time.